Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here. Now, this one's going to be a little bit complex, but overall, I just want everybody to know that I'm not mad at Corey Feldman for what happened last night. I think that he was extremely ill prepared. We're going to get into that. And I know there's a huge amount of backlash over this, but you had to kind of expect every single thing that actually went down with this film. For instance, if you watched my video from 3 weeks ago, let's bring up from the background because, I was talking about this and I was talking about supporting it. Here it is here. All right, right there. You can see it. I told you who was going to be named. And, of course, the person who was named was Charlie Sheen, who had, again, I said this, allegedly raped Corey Haim on the set of Lucas, and this time graphic details were given. How did I know this? Well, I knew this because it was already in the National Enquirer. Corey Feldman had been asked about Charlie Sheen in the press, okay? And it was just pretty obvious to me that was going to be the big name because everybody knows who Charlie is. Now, full disclosure, if you know anything about my past, I've met Sheen a couple times. I've been to his house. This is 14 years ago now. He was a guest on InfoWars and everything else. So let's get that out of the way. The big name was not Steven Spielberg, as many people had said it was going to be. I warned people. I said that was not going to be who it is because Corey Feldman has already talked about his abusers, John Grissom and Marty Weiss. And there may have been others, but if you watch some of the interviews when they start talking about that, like the Wendy Williams one especially, he's like, well, I was molested, I wasn't raped. You can take that as what you want. So basically he's saying, I wasn't bent over between between two trailers and had Crisco oil. And yeah, because that's how graphic it got in this film. Now, all of that being said, I didn't get to see it. And nobody got to see it other than those that were actually at the thing. So we're going to get into that, and I'm going to talk a little bit. Obviously, I was disappointed, more than disappointed. I had somebody over. We were both going to watch it. I did pay the money. That wasn't looking for a pirate stream or anything like that. As I said, I want to financially support this as a documentary filmmaker and as this being a very, very real issue. Okay? So here's why people couldn't watch Corey Feldman's controversial documentary at its premiere screening. Basically, it all went down. He says he's devastated here. He was, they were watching it here. He had a big crowd. And now he's saying, for all of you who couldn't see the film last night, I'm shattered beyond compare. Since they are trying to paint this as a blatant attack on my First Amendment rights to speak freely as a hoax, people are writing, never said the names. Here's proof it happened. So, he wanted to show that, basically he was going to name them. He did, I give you my personal guarantee that everyone will get to see the film. The thing is that, while this was going down, even when I went to the site when it was first created, right? I went to the My Truth Doc thing after he was doing the tour, and I couldn't get a ticket, even though he said he could. And I'm like, oh, that's not good news. So then about 15 minutes before, I was getting the 403 access error. And I tweeted it out. I said, hey, is anybody not getting this? And I noticed, no, that's not the case. So, he said he's going to try to do it 15 minutes late. They kept trying to load. Then it said, please be patient, hackers, et cetera, et cetera. And that's the end of it. I stayed up. It was supposed to premiere at 11. I stayed at my computer until about 1. My friend stayed till about 12:30. I said, if it doesn't happen, honestly, by midnight, it's not going to happen. Now, it's also supposed to play in an hour and a half via Europe. It had 2 showings. I don't think that one's going to be in line. I reached out within 15 minutes of it not starting and said, hey, if you need another way to stream this, I can help you right now. And I meant that. So how would we do it? We do it the same way we do it here, only we would do it with an unlisted address. That's how many people do it, okay? Or you do it with a private address so nobody can access it. So I do it, I stream to a private address, no one can touch it, and then I just screenshot that and then put it out. And then I don't have to worry about bandwidth crash, right? Because all I'm putting up is a page, and all of the actual traffic for the video is going via YouTube. And that's what I suggest he does. If anybody has a contact for Corey Feldman and needs to figure out how he can stream this to the audience without having to send them an MP4, because I'm sure he's worried about piracy, etc. Doesn't matter. People are going to capture it and restream it anyway. There's no way getting around that technology at this point. You can take those streams down, but it can happen. But like I said, Corey, if you're listening, because I still think that this is an important film. Why do I think it's an important film if pretty much everybody who's been named has been named? And by the way, there are some rumors online that somebody from Full House was named. Since I haven't confirmed that, I'm not going to throw their name into the mix. But a lot of these people, again, there's been stories before. Because people don't realize this, all right? And apparently a lot of these children victims are going to talk about their experiences even with lower level people in Hollywood. That's important to expose how the entertainment industry works. So here's the deal. It's a very important film that needs to be seen. People need to get the picture. For instance, actually, so this is a coincidence, I guess. At the conference that C-SPAN attended, that Charlie Sheen himself helped put on for 9/11. Okay, this is a real story. It was in Los Angeles. One of the people that was there was a movie producer. I'm not going to name him. I think I have named him before, but I'm not going to name him right now. And we were talking back and forth, and he was asking why I did this for a living. And at the end of it, I said to him, look, man, I'm a regular guy, but when you look into the people at the top, they're like a bunch of people that are into weird occult stuff, and a lot of them are molesting and fucking kids. I probably said it even worse than that, and I'm like, I can't stand for that. That's not okay. And I go, you're in Hollywood. I looked at him, I said, you're in Hollywood. And I go, you could probably name a high-level, pedophile right now that nobody knows about, or it's not in the news. And he told me straight up that he was at a party, okay, one of these Hollywood parties, and he's like, look, man, usually you're at these things, and there's just piles of cocaine, and there's hookers everywhere, and, that's just how it is. And no one really talks about that, except for in passing, but that's real. He goes, this party, Bryan Singer, he said, had a topless 14-year-old boy on a metal dog leash. And that's supposed to be normal. And he's like, well, I had to roll with it. So he named Singer to me years and years and years before what? An open secret was made. And an open secret opened a lot of people's eyes. In fact, it took parts of Corey Feldman's story and put it in there. It exposed a lot of people, including Bryan Singer. Even with that, Bryan Singer went on to continue to work in Hollywood, and I'm sure that behind the scenes, he's working real hard to stay in there. You know what I'm saying? Which is appalling, disturbing, and disgusting. But the point is, now a lot more people know about who? Bryan Singer. And that's important. And listen, I don't always agree with Gabe Hoffman, who's the producer of that film. I don't think I have to. I think that piece of work stands on its own, and it's out there. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm a pretty big tent guy, right? I don't, call people out in the alternative media unless they have, I've called Alex Jones out in the past because he has a large audience. It's almost not alternative media, right? As I've talked about it, he's got a larger audience than Bill O'Reilly or somebody like that. Rush Limbaugh's not going to be with us forever. He'll be the king of talk radio by then. And right now, I've heard some of his coronavirus stuff, and he's getting just a little piece of it right. And he keeps bringing it into like, this is here to take down Trump. It's not. That's not what this is. So you got to have that big tent approach, but you got to call out nonsense. And it's just like, Sheen came out for 9/11 Truth, and I still haven't heard anything from that outlet about how Corey Feldman or even that Inquirer story kind of outed him as the rapist of Corey Haim, allegedly. But that's something we have to talk about because, Denise Richards in court filings to get their children also accused Charlie of what? Of CP. Child porn. She did. That, you can look that up. That's a real thing. All right. So to ignore those things is just, it's kind of deplorable. You know, you can't do that. You have to tell the truth. And, you know, since then we know that obviously Sheen is bisexual, that, you know, he's HIV positive. These are admitted things. And, you know, we can let him have the other side of the story, and the world's a complicated place. But at the end of the day, any piece of art or any documentary that can bring this issue into the forefront is good. Anything that you can show your brother, sister, friend, mom, etc., that can push this truth into the public is also good. So again, Corey, what I would do, instead of just giving everybody an MP3 or an MP4, and that's really the way to download. Nobody wants a DVD, Corey. I don't want a DVD. Okay, no one wants a DVD. Either MP4 link to everybody that paid the $20. I hope a lot of people aren't asking for refunds and stuff. Not that I think you would get them, but you know, you rolled the dice like I did, and I'm trying to support this. But you could do a stream, like I said, through a private link on YouTube, and then broadcast it in HD through something as easy as XSplit like I'm doing now. It's that simple. So my DMs are open, Mr. Feldman, if you need a little advice, and that way, no matter what the hackers do, they're really not going to... I mean, as long as everybody can just get to that 403 screen through the paywall, you should be fine. You should be fine. And if you're worried about Apple TV and Chromecast, guess what? YouTube casts to both of them, no matter what. So it's the same exact technology. All right, guys, that being said, please thumbs this video up. We're going to do a movie review when I do see it. And that was the other thing. I was going to watch it live, and I was going to do a review of the film right afterwards. And I still intend on doing that if I can. Guys, I just want to say this. I'm going to be doing this, a full coronavirus update. This family in Johnstown, New York, both of them were my teachers in high school. So now everybody that said that, I'll believe it when you know somebody, I got news for you. I know these people. Jay and Patty Jarabek were my high school teachers. Patty was a Spanish teacher, and Jay was my biology teacher. Now, if you want to tell me I'm a crisis actor for saying that, I mean, you're out of your mind, but okay, whatever. And I contacted him today. We're going to be going over this story. I basically offered him to come on the show and tell his story, and I said, listen, if anything changes, his wife and his young son are currently in quarantine. His other son came in from abroad, from Italy, from Clemson. I think he is in a separate quarantine. So Jarabek, for the last week, the only contacts he's had with his children and his wife, I believe, is by dropping off groceries. So all I can say is, you know what? That's a separate video, and we're going to do a full breakdown coming up. Thumbs this video up, subscribe, and share. If you like what I do, guys, I do it through you. $5, $10, $15. It means the world to me. Big donors out there, I could use you. I try to get to 5,000 every month. We got a little over 3, and we went to D.C. I need to make at least 2 on this, or I can't survive. It's not like I'm bling-blinging. So if you like independent media, if you like a voice that is real, that is not about left or right, that's not going to lie to you, please consider donating. I've also got the Rockfin. I forgot to post the McInnes interview over, or the McInnes piece. I'm going to post a Gavin McInnes First Amendment speech from the National File over here in a bit. Follow me on Twitter and check out my documentary films. They're all free on this channel in the documentaries playlist. Loose Change Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order to Find, and Shade the Motion Picture. Guys, I love you. I'll see you on the flip.